Hi guys, welcome back to Lunatic Astrology. I'm your astrologer, Lori Lothian, and today I want to talk a bit about the exalted Taurus full moon with a dash of Vestal Virgin energy and what that might mean in your chart. So I'm going to do something different today. I've been gone for 2 months. I've been traveling, I've been studying, I've been working, and I'm back to my groove in my Montreal place. And I thought I'd just show you my window to show you how dreary and all the leaves are gone and what Montreal looks like at this time of year. But anyway, Vestal Virgin, exalted Taurus, full moon coming up for everybody on November the 12th, depending on where you live in the world. Check your time zone. And that moon is happening in my time zone where I live, Montreal, Canada. Oh my goodness, it's happening at 8:46 a.m. on November the 12th. Now I want to talk about the Vestal Virgin energy. This is an asteroid Vesta, and she was discovered roughly 200 and so odd years ago. And she's interestingly an asteroid that's visible to the eye. You can actually see her as a faint light in the sky. I believe she may be the only asteroid that is visible with the naked eye. And I remember reading about her one time by an astrologer who wondered why the ancients never identified this asteroid. And he speculated that it may have been because she was associated with the sacred mysteries, and that therefore, even though they knew of her, she was only used for priests, high priests, oracles, you know, people involved in sacred mysteries. And interestingly, modern day, 200 years ago, and some change, we named her Vesta, which is a Vestal Virgin, for one thing, the sacred prostitute archetype, the sacred priestess archetype as well. You know, I want to talk about Vesta as well as an element of devotion, because she's known for her, like, you know, tending the sacred flame, like keeping a flame alive. And, you know, and in Rome, her job was to keep the temple flame alive, and also flames in different parts of the city as well. And this was like a 6 or 7-year-old girl, who devoted 30 years of her life of service, gave up childbearing, had to be celibate. And the reward for that devotion of keeping the sacred flame alive was that she was, after that, given a land and status, and she was like revered as somebody who had done her service, kind of the way we would revere, like, you know, somebody who had been like a soldier or a warrior for us. So she's got this elevated status. And in Rome, women weren't allowed to hold land, only these very privileged women. So there's something in your life that this moon is going to amplify. First of all, that it requires your devotion, and you're tending to a sacred flame, some ember, some spark you want to blow on and fan the flame of that. And that's going to depend on where this moon will fall in your natal chart. And I'm going to give everybody's ascendant, you know, if you're an Aries and, you know, Taurus ascendant, etc., but it also applies to your sun sign. You could also apply it to your moon sign to see what energies are being asked to spark into life and for you to tend and devote yourself to. So there's perseverance and devotion. And if you think about that 30 years that the Vestal Virgins committed to tending that sacred flame, what is 30 years? That's the number of years it takes Saturn to make an entire revolution around the zodiac. That's why we have our Saturn return around age 29, 30. And so think about the Saturnian quality of Vesta as well, because this asteroid is conjunct this exalted Taurian full moon. So reminder, the moon is full because the moon is opposite the sun in the sky. So that means that if the moon is situated in Taurus, then the opposite sign where the sun is sitting is in Scorpio. So just a little heads up about the nature of that one. A lot of people might focus on the element here, that there's a scorpionic element because of the placement of the sun, and of course there is. So we do have this energy of Taurus, right, which is everybody's, you know, wanting to nest and be earthy and grounded. And as the Vesta conjunct the moon by an exact conjunction, she's at 19 degrees as well as the moon at 19 degrees at the same time. So they're beside each other in the sky, they're right beside each other. From our vantage point on Earth, obviously, not literally. There's a sense of the Taurus energy of wanting to ground, to earth, to be stable, to nurture, to create the body temple. Like Vesta is the guardian of the temple flame, but what if our body is a temple as well? You know, Vesta is also kind of sometimes associated with the sublimation of sexual energy for other creative purposes. So, you know, the flame that Vesta holds is the energy of creativity, because sexual energy goes to procreativity, and the fire of creative energy can be used for many different things. So I'm a little bit all over the map here, but I want to really get you to dig into the possibilities for what Vesta is asking you to do in the next 30 days, you know, as she kickstarts this moon with us on November 12th. So I'm going to go through each of the signs, but before I do that, I also want to note that this Sun-Moon opposition, both the Sun in Scorpio, which is, by the way, is only a 3-degree distance away from Mercury, who's going retrograde at this time. So there's a mercurial messenger from the gods energy. And Mercury would just have come out of being Cazimi on the 11th of November. And sidebar, passing in front of the sun, between the earth and the sun, a very rare situation in which Mars is eclipsing the sun, because Mars is so small relative to the sun that you need a telescope to watch a little black dot, you know, traverse across the face of the sun from Earth's perspective. But there's something very special about where Mercury has been, you know, where he's traveled on the 11th, as we then go into this full moon, and he's freshly finished his time in the heart of the sun, still conjunct the sun, and the sun is in the bound of Jupiter, and the moon is in the bound of Jupiter. How do I make sense of that for us? The bounds are these Egyptian terms, these degrees of each sign that define, you know, a segment of the 30 degrees. And when I see this kind of thing where, you know, the sun and the moon are both sharing a bound of Jupiter, I feel it's going to be a lucky month for most of us. We're going to have opportunities, expansion, maybe unexpected windfalls, because the ruler of Taurus, you know, is Venus, and she's all about her money, opulence, opulent wealth. And Jupiter brings bounty and luck and expansion and opportunity. So you could have a money breakthrough, you could have a windfall, you could have an opportunity breakthrough. Sun in Scorpio in the bound of Jupiter. I don't know, that can be also some kind of fortune or good luck coming from the depths that Scorpio offers, from the secretive or the mysterious or the occult or the hidden realms. So, you know, who knows, maybe somebody spills a secret that turns out to be the most lucky thing that's ever happened to you. Maybe you have a breakthrough insight or discover something, investigate or discover something that it turns out to be incredibly fortunate for you and hopefully for the world. So let's go through, if you have patience with me here, because I'm trying this out. I normally don't do this. So we're going to go through all the way through each of the signs. You can look at this as your sun sign, your moon sign, or more accurately and ideally, you know, your ascendant, and you can look at this as a readout of your ascendant with this particular full moon, Vestal Virgin energy is asking you to devote yourself to and tend that sacred flame. So I've got my little cheat sheet here. Is there anything else I want to say about that? I always print stuff out. Well, of course, I could point out that there's a bit of a wedge going on. Just heads up on that. I mean, the sun is sextile Saturn-Pluto, and then the moon is trine Saturn-Pluto. Saturn-Pluto sitting in Capricorn, as we all know. Waiting for the 2020 January 12th kaboom, when the two of them are going to be conjunct, Saturn and Pluto, in the sign of Capricorn. Well, to me, when I look at a wedge, I always think of an ice pick, okay? This is my particular take on this wedge formation, which is an opposition married by a sextile and a trine. So in this case, what is trying to break through? Or what is trying to break up? What is trying to be chipped away at or sparked or something? You know, think of it like a flint or an arrowhead maybe, but it's really more like a wedge. And for some reason, I've always thought of it as an ice pick. So this aspect formation makes me think that, you know, this opposition between the sun and the moon is trying to break free something, you know, by virtue of assistance from Pluto, god of transformation, death, rebirth, transmutation, crisis, chaos, transformation through chaos and conflict, sometimes in crisis. And then Saturn, you know, the status quo. So already you've got a combination in Capricorn that doesn't really sit together well, you know, the status quo, the structure is the way it is, and the god that would like kind of detonate it like a plutonium bomb, right, nuclear bomb. But the point of the wedge is actually the moon Vesta, like that's where the wedge points to. So to me, that's what's that is what the energy is being kinetically driven to, this devotional, sacred flame tending part of your life that this exalted Taurus moon with all that bounty of Jupiter wants to have a breakthrough for you, okay? And if it's like a chipping thing, like an ice pick, something reminds me of that movie with an ice pick in it. Anyway, to me, it's going to be something that can happen really quickly, like, you know, with an acute, sort of a almost Mars quality. You know, like a sudden, you know, clarity about what you're here to devote yourself to, or a sudden breakthrough or opportunity around something you've already devoted yourself to, you know, a goal, a plan, something you're working on. So let's get to the signs. All right. So first of all, for Aries, this is happening in your second house. Vestal, Virgin, and Moon are sitting in the second house of your natal chart. This is your possessions. This is your self-worth and self-value. This is the money that you make. These are things that come to you by virtue of you being you in the world. So these are areas of material resources, you know, your material resource world. So how are you being asked over the next 30 days to devote more of your energy to your material resources, your possessions, and your self-worth? How can you bring the energy of devotion and discipline and focus and sacred devotion to bringing more of that into your life? Particularly, just think more money, but more stability, more resources. All right, let's moving on to Taurus. All right, Taurus, you're lucky that you're the lucky one here. This is your natal first house. This is happening to you, like to your body, to your sense of self, to your very, you know, identity. You know, for people having this Vesta moon in the natal first house, it really would probably be a good idea to really consider in what ways you're truly devoted to yourself in a sacred selfishness way. In my 30s, I came up with that term. I was having a bit of a challenge with, you know, being a doormat for everybody around me and, you know, being the yes woman and the pleaser. And suddenly somewhere in my 30s, I heard this word in a dream at night or a meditation. I needed to be more sacredly selfish. So in a way, the devotional energy, the discipline of that, you know, tending a flame for 30 years is being asked to be drawn towards you. How can you be more sacredly devotional toward what you need and want right now over the next 30 days from November 12th, right, to December 12th, so that you can increase your vital force, honor your body, because the body is a part of the first house, right? And of course, it's happening in Taurus, which is your sign. So how can you do that in a loving, grounding, nurturing, body-centric way? That's a cool one for you guys. Alrighty, so then we go on to the Geminis of the world. You guys are having this in your 12th house of so many different things. Spiritual enlightenment, your own karma, things that are hidden from your conscious awareness. Your secret enemies. I don't think you're going to devote yourself to your secret enemies. To me, the 12th house is a house of moksha, of liberation, of enlightenment. That's the highest potential it holds. And when we fall short of that, we end up in the shadow of the 12th house. You know, we end up with, you know, difficulties. We end up with illnesses, or we end up with mental challenges, you know, so it's asylums and hospitals. But I really want you to look at this, not how can you devote yourself to asylums and hospitals, although you may want to actually be of service. Maybe there's somebody who you know who's in a institution you could visit and be devoted to. But also in your own way, how can you devote yourself to your own spiritual path? Geminis, it's time to get real about your life. I mean, if you're struggling with the everyday mundane world, if you feel like somehow dispirited or disenchanted with reality, consider the month that you have of this moon, of this November 12th to December 12th as a sabbatical, as a pilgrimage, as an inward journey, as a spiritual retreat. That's your advice from me. All right. So now we have those Cancers who are naturally inclined to be nurturant anyway, because I keep going back to that Taurus exalted moon and kind of a grounding, nurturing energy. We have that moon, full moon Vesta in your 11th house. So friends and associates and benefactors, a house of great gains. You can receive wealth in this house. You can receive status and reputation and sometimes fame and rewards and accolades, okay, because it drives those things from what you do in your 10th house energies. So let's call that the windfalls that come from your focus on career. So in what ways over the next month can you actually use this devotional energy to tend to your relationships, your friendships, those that may benefit you, your larger social circle? Is there any way that you possibly are remiss there? Are you kind of like putting all of those people on the back burner? If you're a social media type and you have social media networks, then it's time for you to tend to your social media networks. If you're not that type of Cancer, ascendant moon or sun, then I suggest you look more close to home. What friends do you have around you that you may be neglecting? In what ways can you devote yourself to the larger social networks that can be also supportive of you? All right. For people who are Virgos, oh, we've got Leo. Leo, I can't forget you. You guys are like so self-important. Sorry. Whew. All right, Leos, get ready. So you guys get to experience this in the house of career. Like, woo! Like, whoa! So devote yourself. Tend the sacred flame. Fan the embers and the fire of your career this next month. You'll have all the support energy from Vesta on this moon with a bound of Jupiter giving you lucky breaks and opportunities in the career directions, in the career energies. So really just narrow that down. Now, you know, the 10th house is a house of contribution, right? It's kind of like we could go to work and do our job, but we're known for the thing we contribute. So we call that the house of career, but it's really your contribution that's recognized by the collective. So, you know, if you say, oh, I don't have a career, well, maybe you have something you do, though, that many people recognize you for. And while you may not make your living at it, it may not be your day job, it may be in some ways truly your career. So in that context, what fans are you flaming toward, that thing that you offer the world that is your contribution? So Leo, go for it. You'll get a lot of mileage out of that devotion. Remember, the Vestal Virgins got rewarded with land holdings and prestige and freedom as women to wander the streets of Rome alone without the accompaniment of a man. Those are just some of the perks that the Vestal Virgins got in Rome. Just imagine what you could get by this 1 month of intense devotion to your career. All right? All right. We're moving on to the Virgos of the world. Oh, Virgos, Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. You guys have the 9th house, the house of God, the house of soul, the house of prophecy and divination, and really this kind of deep, you know, spiritual house. It's one of the metacosmos, between the world's houses of the zodiac. So it's a really soulful place. It's almost like one of the temples of the chart. And so we have a Vestal Virgin devotional sacred flame tending energy with this moon, asking you what it is within you, within your soul, that you really want to tend to. You guys are, you know, the practical ones of the world, the detail-oriented, the get things done, you know, grounded earth energy. But go inward this time, this month, and really look at what it is that you want to tend to in your life that may have a more spiritual element, that may be about connecting to the still small voice within. Whether you call that source, God, soul, all self, no self, that's probably the best medicine for you this month, the inward journey. Know a few Virgos and Virgo ascendants, and I'm already thinking about that for them. It is also the 9th house, the house of foreign travel, and the house of higher education. So if you're a student going off to your college or university, the message would be dig your heels in. I'm probably going to hit the exam period in January. So this is a time if you dedicate your energies, focus, discipline, or, you know, devotional quality to getting those studies done, to studying for those exams, yay. And if you're traveling or going to a foreign land, I suggest it would be a very mystical trip and maybe a pilgrimage, because the Vestal Virgin supports that trip and will be with you on any journeys to foreign lands in that month ahead. Remember, from moon to moon, from roughly, you know, the 11th to the 11th, not quite exactly, but the month ahead. Alrighty, Libra, you're having an 8th house activation with Vesta. 8th house is an interesting place. It is often called the house of death in ancient astrology, but I also look at it as a place where there's something where we're going to be able to totally like rebirth like a phoenix, you know, rise up from some sort of ash. It's a house of secrets. It's a house of where we would put like intimacy and sexual tantra for a lot of people. You know, the modern astrology likes to put sex tantra, deep intimacy in there. It's a house of occult mysteries and magic. So Vesta wants you to tend a flame there. I'm wondering how that's going to look. You know, there's a quality of that 8th house that is also about wealth. It's kind of the treasure chest house. It's money that you acquire through other people. So your spouse's money, it could be money that you get through investment income, money that you get through tax rebates or inheritances or stipends or grants. Okay, money that you don't make in your paycheck. So look at it that way too. Is there something you could be tending to? Like, are you writing a book that you want to get royalty income from? Then dig your heels in, man. Get that book finished. So this is tending to the flame of that possibility for a different sort of wealth to emerge in your life as well. So don't just look at it like a death and rebirth thing. You might have something more fun than that, and you can tend to. Then, oh, I'm going to die and be reborn this month. Okay, so that was Libra. We're moving to Scorpio. So Scorpio, it's all about relationships with self and other. It's the 7th house for you guys. That's business partnerships and relationships. If you're a coach or a teacher of some sort and you work with people one-on-one, it can be your clients. And if you're married, of course, it's your partner. Or if you're in a long-term relationship, it's your partner. It's love relationship. So tending to the sacred flame of an existing relationship. Okay, and if you're single, possibly, maybe it could initiate a romantic connection with somebody for whom you'll have a sacred sexual contact, okay? Don't forget, this is the archetype of the temple prostitute. It's when sex isn't just for pleasure or for procreation, but for some third element, which is kind of like the elevated, you know, spiritual communion that's possible through sexual union. So maybe that is something that's going to occur for you in this time frame with a partner that exists or the inbound new lover. So it's all about the other, relationships and others. So if you're a coach or a mentor and you work one-on-one with clients online or in person, a therapist as well, you might really want to tend the flame of your client base and really focus on those people. If you have a business partner, then you really want to focus on that partnership. Okay, tend the flame of the partnership and fan it and give it new life. All right, focus, discipline, energy, you can do it. All right, if you guys are Sagittarius, I love my Sages. All right, you Sages, you fiery wonder workers, I love you guys. Okay, so it's all about your 6th house. This is gonna be the house of regimes that tend to your health, your eating, your yoga, your exercise, all of those things. It can be the house of where you work, you know, your job, where you go to work, you know, your place of employment. You know, it's kind of like the house of service, and it can be servitude if you hate your work, but it's the ideal here is service, and it's the house of devotion in itself. It's the house of bhakti, which means devotion. So it's kind of, you're in, you know, the moon of devotion, right? The Vestal moon here, the Vestal Virgin moon is in for you, the place where devotion exists, the 6th house. So what are you going to devote yourself to in your workaday world? How can you tend a sacred flame there? How can you perhaps enhance your workplace? You know, if you work with other people, you know, if you're an employee and you have other comrades around you, or if you're a boss of your employees, how can you tend their sacred flame? How can you honor them? How can you bring greater joy to your place of work as either a employer or an employee? Those are ways to think about it. But I also want you to remember that the temple of the body and the flame within, the sacred flame within, the vital force is another way of looking at it. And this is a house of health. If you've been ill, what can you do to attend to your vital force energy? If you've been tired or slow or sluggish, how can you ramp up the flames of your vital force? Think about that, Sages. All right, Capricorn. You guys are having this in the house of love and romance, house of children. It's the 5th house, guys. It's a house of creative expression as well. I really want to focus on that as well because I really love the idea that the Vestal flame is a flame of procreativity or creative energy, which is why when we're a Vestal Virgin, we can sublimate that sexual energy and use it for something else. So what I'm thinking about for you guys, you Caps, is that you may want to really look at where you want to dig deeply into your creative energy. Remember, I want you to look at this for Cap Ascendant and Cap Moon and Capricorn Sun. It will apply to all a bit more truly to the ascendants, the Capricorn Ascendant. So, you know, I'm a Capricorn Ascendant in Vedic astrology, and I'm actually looking really deeply at how I'm going to harness my creative energies towards projects I'm doing in the next 1 month. And so it really feels true to me. So, but also if you have children, how can you truly focus on your children to fan the flame of their well-being, support them, be a beacon of devotional energy towards your children? And of course, it is also romance and love affairs, particularly, you know, in that first flush of romance, the love magic, falling in love. So if you're in a relationship that's new, wow, just tend that flame and let the love flow. And if you're not in a relationship, maybe something's going to happen this month where you bump into somebody or meet somebody or get to know somebody for whom you want to tend the romance flame to keep it alive or spark it even to a greater fire. All right. If you guys are Aquarians, sun, moon, or ascendant, you guys are dealing with the 4th house of home. And this is interesting because, you know, Vesta is often associated with hearth and home because some astrologers link her to Hestia, the guardian of the hearth and home. So you can do that with her too. And so you have a doubled up energy here. You have a goddess that has to tend to sacred flame, which can be the home hearth, like where you're going to cook the meal, right? The hearth of the home, or it can be the sacred flame. So you got double flame, double hearth energy, and it's happening in your house of home, your own home, where you live, you know, like your house, your city, or your community, all are kind of the hearth of your reality. It's also your ancestral line in that 4th house. And it's also, to some degree, the really basic foundation of who you are. But so, you know, I don't think anyone here is going to attend to their sacred ancestral flames and do that. But if you're into ancestor worship or healing the ancestral line, this is a good time to do that this month ahead. For the rest of you who may not be so inclined, this is literally be devotional towards your home. Beautify it. Light some candles. Make it a sanctuary. Make your home and hearth very sacred to you, and devote the time and energy it takes to bring that to your home. And I think that the upside of that, with that Jupiter bound, is you'll have bounty, blessings, and luck from the attention you pay to the home that you are living in. And that extends to the city and the community that's local to you as well. All right? All right, for the Pisceans of the world, you Pisces dudes and gals. All right, so you have a 3rd house energy to attend to with the sacred devotional flame. This is your siblings. All right, so pay attention to them. Love them up, honor them, do what you need to restore or rekindle something should it have the flame of connection with your siblings have ebbed. This is also that place of travel, short-term trips. Do you need a vacation? Do you need to just go away somewhere? And this can even be a foreign land that's far away if it's somewhere you go regularly that's not too foreign to you. So these trips and travels can be very restorative for you in this month, okay? So looking at the idea that maybe there's a time for you that you can find it to go away even for a weekend to restore and rekindle yourself through these short-term trips and travel. It is a house of education, like seminars and workshops. So if you're called to do a seminar or a workshop, not a college or university, but a shorter term learning, it could probably really rekindle some spark in you. And also, if you're wanting to do that, be very devotional toward it. Devote the time necessary and the energy to actually do what you're supposed to do, like complete the assignments or glean the gifts of that education, right? It's also, in some ways, this is a house of divination and prophecy and oracleship and synchronicity and omens and portents, okay? It's kind of the axis to the 9th house. It's one of the metacosmos houses. So pay attention to your synchronicity. If you're a mystic at heart, if you're like into synchronicity or the law of attraction and stuff, really focus on how you can tend the flame of the portents and omens and the mysterious interconnections of reality that synchronicity offers us all. All right. Did I forget anything? Sometimes you can look at the 3rd house as your crew, your local friends, your buddies, your hangout group. So as well, tend to those people as well and nurture those flames of those friendships. All right, I went through the entire zodiac. I did it, and I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to try to timestamp this for people. As you know, this is a new channel, so bear with me. Like, subscribe, and share if you enjoy what I'm up to. And I'm going to be posting more often now that I'm back from my travels and a lot of the studies that I've been doing. I would also, in astrology, I would also like you to know about something. My sister, Cindy Lee, is doing tarot readings, and she's gifted, truly gifted. And she established her website. I helped her set it up, blindfaithreadings.com, in the month of October. And she has a sale till December 1st for half-price readings. And she uses a system called the Lenormand Tarot, and I love this for her. When she was a little girl, she used to play a game called with my sisters, my other sister and I, 3 sisters, memory. And you had to sort of lay these cards out in a spread that looks just like the Lenormand Tarot with a grand tableau that she uses. And she was so good at memory, she always beat me and my other sister because she had this like incredible way of memorizing where these cards were. And similarly, the grand tableau looks like a game of memory, and she's so gifted at the interconnections between these cards. It's nothing like a regular tarot reading, guys. We know a Grand Cross or a Celtic Cross or whatever. It's so darn cool. She's got rave reviews. I love what she's up to. I've been so delighted by the way she's been able to give me in very complex but detailed guidance using this grand tableau technique. So check her out, Cindy Lee, Blind Faith Readings. I will put the link below. I'm spitting today. I will put the link below for you to check her out and go have fun. On December 1st, her half price sale ends. She's really affordable. It's $75 for a full-on one hour reading with her, that she sends you a recording so you have a copy of it and everything. You can listen to it over and over again, as well as a picture of the spread. All right, thanks for listening. I hope you guys have an amazing, exalted, Taurian full moon in the bounded Jupiter conjunct Vesta with a splash of Mercury. Stay tuned for my next report. I'm going to be talking in a couple of days about the Pluto-Saturn conjunction in 2020. I have my own spin on that, and I really want to share it with you guys. I've been listening to a lot of people talk about it, a lot of dread and awe, but I have a little bit of a different take on it, so I'm getting ready to share that as well. Take care and see you guys soon. Mwah.